Bonafide Hustler here, and in this video we're gonna go over what I sold in the antique booth in the past 2 weeks. What's going on, guys and gals? Chris the Bonafide Hustler coming to you live from the inside of my Bod Damn gym. Go check out the fitness channel, Bod Damn. It's pretty cool. It's my other channel. But yeah, we have a 2-week kind of check. I'm gonna check sitting right there, and it's kind of like the stat sheet of the things that sold in, I guess it was the 2 weeks before the 2 weeks I'll get paid for in a couple days. So does it make sense? So this is like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Anyway, so we're gonna be going over that today. These are the things that sold in the antique booth, and I'm gonna discuss really quickly what I made on the items, or what I paid, then what I sold it for, and then I'll put a picture kind of describing what the item is, okay? Does that make sense? So that's what we're gonna take care of today in this video. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at The Bonafide Hustler, and you can also get this free money-making guide. It's the first link down below. It'll teach you 50 items that you can look for at thrift stores and garage sales that you can sell for more money. So go check it out. It's the first link down below. All right, so we're gonna get right to it, and I will flash pictures that I find on Google that will kind of give you an idea of the things that are selling in my antique booth. If you don't know what an antique booth is, and I get this question a lot, so I've rented a antique booth in an antique mall for the past, what seems to be about like 10 or 11 years now. And this antique booth is something that I set up, right? It's in an antique mall. So the antique mall has a bunch of booths inside, and there's one central entrance into the antique mall. As you go around the booths, these are unmanned booths, but you could be in there if you really wanted to, but for the most part, this is passive income. So I just drop off items that I find at thrift stores and garage sales periodically through the week, and then I tag them up. When people bring the item to the front, then that tag shows what booth it came from, and it shows what to charge. Does that make sense? And the antique mall takes a 10% cut of the charge, and it also charges me a monthly booth rent. Okay, so I think that's how most booths and antique malls work in the USA, but if you didn't know about that, that's a question I get a lot regarding the antique booth. So it is a way to make passive income, but there is some setup associated to it, and there's some fine tuning that goes on over the years. But for the most part right now, I might spend maybe an hour in the booth a month, maybe. It's probably way less than that, but that's about how much time it is current day. But like setting up the booth and those kind of things, that takes a little bit of time. Anyway, my point is, it's a really fun way of making some income when you get it really set up. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's go through the paycheck, and you know, if you have any questions, you can put it down below. So yeah, the very first item, this is it says lamp-based women. Sometimes they just, you know, there's so many people that are buying things, so they just put what I put on the tag, and then they kind of describe it a little bit further, so that way I can kind of know what's sold. But every single evening I get like what's sold on the booth. Okay, so lamp-based women, I remember what this lamp was. So this sold for $79.65. This was a $5 lamp that kind of looked like something like this. It's just a basic kind of like woman, flowy mermaid looking thing that was like a lamp thing that I found at a garage sale for $5. So it sold for $79.65. Second item, lens and case. I remember exactly what this was. So I spent $15 on this like camera. I think it was like a D400 or D40, whatever. 15 bucks for the camera, and then it came with this like really crappy lens and a really alright case, I guess. The lens case, it looked like a tube kind of thing, right? You know? That whole thing sold for $11.12. So, you know, and I still was left with the camera and the awesome lens that was on the camera. It just came with this like completely, like totally not with the camera kind of lens. It was just this extra thing. So I put it in the booth, and it paid me $11.12. So it basically it almost paid for the entire cost of buying the whole camera in the first place. Third thing, quantity one, a tape. So this is usually a cassette tape, and it can be, you know, there's a lot of cassette tapes in my booth. There could be things from Metallica, Public Enemy, Journey, there's just a bunch of stuff. Christopher Cross, there's just a lot of stuff in the booth. So anyway, when I find cool pop culture cassettes, I guess, you know, really good artists that had good music from back in the day, and I see that at a garage sale, usually these cassettes I'll pay about anywhere between 25 cents and 50 cents for a cassette. And in the booth, I don't know what cassette it was, but it netted me $10.68. So that's pretty good, one cassette. Here we go. The next thing, This cassette, another cassette sold. So, you know, $5.34. Now, obviously I price the cassettes accordingly. Sometimes I'll look on eBay, because if it's a really cool vintage cassette, I'll charge a little bit more. But looks like whatever other cassette sold, $5.34. All right. Another item here, a windbreaker. So this is pretty much, it could be a retro windbreaker, or it can be one of these kind of floral, weird Givenchy looking windbreakers. Kind of hard to explain, but essentially I get into windbreakers between like $1 and $5, sometimes up to 10 if I go to a Goodwill and find one. But these are usually vintage windbreakers. They're not current day ones by any means. $44.05 is what I got paid for that. Here we go. Quantity 3, VHS tapes. Now usually when I'm into VHS tapes, I'm in for really cheap, or they might just be free. In this case, I'm pretty sure these were free. $6.68, 3 VHS tapes. So that's not too bad. I can't tell you what titles they were. They could have been Pulp Fiction down to like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to maybe Tombstone for all I know, you know? So I could put those in there. Could have been Gone with the Wind. I have no idea. But these are some of the recent titles I remember putting in the booth in the past month or two. Okay, so this one right here, this next one, has an item code that signifies that both me and my girlfriend bought it. This one just says long coat. Usually when we get into a long coat, it's kind of like a, I remember this one actually. So this long coat was found at a Savers. It looked kind of like a denim long, like a rancher coat, but it had like this Pendleton kind of like design up here. So I don't even know if I can find a picture, but it would look something like this a little bit. It had like a Pendleton design up here. I remember that much. It was $15 at a Savers. That long coat paid $97.45. And that one I remember took about 3 weeks to flip. All right, the next one is a jacket that I sold. When it says jacket, it's probably a leather jacket. It could be a suede one, it could be a bomber style or something like that. That one right there paid me $133.06. Usually when I get into a jacket, they are $1 all the way up to sometimes $22. That's about the spread that I play on jackets. Every now and then I'll pull a trigger on a $27 or $30 jacket, but for the most part, when I get jackets, they're at garage sales, or they could be at thrift stores. They're from like $1 to about $22. So yeah, that jacket right there sold for $133.06. Next item, another leather jacket. This one, like I said, these jackets are between probably $1 and $22. That one made me $110.81. So pretty cool. Next item. Gosh, there's so many jackets. All right, so another one. Okay, here we go. This was one that my girlfriend sold, because I can see the code here. So when she gets into a jacket, those are usually $1 to $5. The ones that she prices kind of lower in the booth. This one made her $39.61, which is pretty cool. So it's usually a $1 or a $5 jacket she found at a garage sale. I always tell her, like, go buy that thing, tag it up, put it in the booth for like $100 or maybe $80. And so that jacket, whatever it was, $39.61. Okay, so the next item, another jacket. That was my jacket. I don't know what it looked like, but it basically says brown leather or suede jacket. This one paid $88.56. So that one was probably a $1 to a $22 jacket, $88.52. Next item that sold, a belt. Now this is more than likely a belt that I paid $1 for or less. That's just usually what belts are, okay? This one made me $21.81. That wasn't too bad. Next item, a VHS tape, one tape, or actually two tapes, sorry, quantity 2, $4.45. Of course, as stated earlier, it could be any of the VHS titles that I put in. What else here? Oh, so the next item was a jacket, and the product code on here means that I had it on eBay as well. So I'll put like the item number. The item number on this one was 3817E. When I have an E at the end of my codes, that means it's also on eBay. So that means whatever that is, I have to look it up on my inventory sheet and then figure out what it is, go to my eBay listings and take it down, right? So this was a jacket as well. This one sold for $133.06, which could be a $1 to a $22 jacket. $133.06. Okay, next item. We got two more items here. One says shirt vintage. I know it's my shirt. Typically when I get into a vintage shirt, it's $1 to $3. You watch my videos and you kind of see me buy them and everything like that. Every now and then, if it's a really cool shirt, I might spend up to about $10 at a Goodwill getting a really cool shirt. But usually when I get a vintage shirt, it's from a garage sale, it's $1 to $3. So this shirt sold for $39.61. And then the last thing says sequin roller skates. Now this wasn't technically retro, antique, or vintage, but we can put roller skates that look kind of funky in there, you know? I remember these distinctly. I think these were around $5.49 at a Goodwill. And they probably sat in my booth for like a month, but they sold for $26.70. I think they were a youth size, but they were really cool looking. So I decided to pop them on them. I remember buying them from the Airport Goodwill here in town on Airport Boulevard. But yeah, not too bad. And so that's the actual paycheck right there. The grand total of the paycheck, $852.64, which isn't bad, you know? I have another paycheck coming up that's pretty cool. I'll pick it up in a couple days. That one actually is larger, and we can maybe make a video on that if it's something that you would like to see. But it just gives you context of what sells here at Austin Antique Booth. Second of all, gives you context on other ways to make money, because that's important too, because a lot of people, you know, they're doing FBA, or they're doing books, or they're doing eBay to FBA, or they're doing just garage sales, or just estate sales, or just electronics to eBay. So this is just one of the things that has worked out for me, and I do think that it can't just be Austin, Texas that's doing well. There's got to be other antique malls around the country where people put stuff in and make a good amount of money. So like I said, you know, if this was something I was investing 20 hours a week into, I'd say this paycheck is probably not worth it, you know? But this is something that takes some time, and you rig it up in the initial parts of it, and then it is basically cruise control. Because now at this point, when I go to garage sales and I go to thrift stores, I can pick up really cool old vintage, retro, or antique items that I ordinarily could not put on eBay because of usually shipping charges. Or there's just a lot of things right here that sell, like some of these jackets that sell for $133.06, for example. Those jackets would have sold on eBay for like 70 or 80 bucks. I'm not even kidding. So like, it's kind of weird, because I think it's just the whole, as they walk through, it's a really novel kind of thing when people go through antique malls. Then they start trying on clothing and they're like, oh, this looks really cool. How much is it? And then they go, I really like it. What do you think? And you're usually with partners and everything. When I go to the antique mall, there's a bunch of people walking around and stuff. And so I think that's kind of how it plays out. And that's the reason why in many cases I can make more money than I would have sold it on eBay. Because on eBay, you're dealing with this anticipation of getting it. Is it gonna fit? Might have to have a return, whereas the person is right then and there looking at the item, they put it on, they fall in love with it, and they just buy it. So anyway, I hope it paints a cool picture of like another way to make money, you know? So if you're out there and you're looking for other ways to make money, this could be something for you. But that's pretty much the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, put a thumbs up, and we'll do another one. Take it easy. Goodbye.